rebuilt there. I was living there.
Okay, so
Living right next door was the best for my wife and I. So we moved a half mile down the road.
Okay.
You know where Ruta Farm is? Ruta Farm's a big farmland on the left after Amy's Way, where all like the Francis
Yes, you
live.
were the Francis. Okay.
So Ruta Farm, if you go around the corner, there's a road that goes up into those woods. There's 6 houses that nobody can see from there. So we got 6 acres. It's got that Kirby Brook in the front of it, which I've gone to explore already. So we're kind of
How long you guys been there?
less than a month now, but it's nice. It's nice. Very nice. So.
Okay, we'll October 9th meeting of the Conservation Commission. We'll stand and salute the flag, please.
For myself.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Chairman, may I have a moment before the meeting gets fully underway?
You may.
I'd like to bring to the attention of the public as well as the commission. We've lost a member that was on this commission for approximately 25 plus years this weekend. Dick Lambert passed away. He succumbed to the heart condition that was slowly failing on him. But I was hoping that just in this respect of Dick that we could observe a moment of silence for him.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so we can start out with the Westport Land Conservation Trust. RDA 573 Adamsville Road, established paths, trails, and buffer zone crossing of the wetlands. We have another one down below, we can do that too.
Yeah, well, I guess we can do the CFC and all that. Just doing this thing. Yes, Brendan.
Hello, I'm Brendan Buckless. I'm the Outreach and Stewardship Coordinator for the Westport Land Conservation Trust, and I'm a resident of Westport at 150 Highland Avenue. We are in the process of working to re-clear about 2 miles of existing trails at the former St. Vincent de Paul property. We intend to open the property formally to the public next June. So the entire 82 acres. As a stipulation of the land grant, the local acquisitions for natural diversity grant that the town partnered with the land trust on, the back 60 acres is now open to the public with limited parking.
All right, Chris.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members, Westport Land Conservation Trust, 573 Adamsville Road. This is a request for determination filing. Report date is October 1st, 2018. The site visit was also on October 1st, 2018. Description of work: the Westport Land Conservation Trust has filed to restore the existing network of paths within the conservation restriction area at St. Vincent's de Paul. The diocese has a series of walking paths used for the camp since the 1950s. These walking trails have become overgrown and dead trees, etc. have fallen across. The Westport Land Conservation Trust, with volunteers, have trimmed back the vegetation in order to allow the public to utilize. They also wish to remove a couple of larger trees that are invasive, growing along the edges. The work would be within the buffer zone, but will not affect the resource areas. So again, these paths are existing. This is just a matter of trimming back vegetation. There is no actual construction of paths on this property. So what I recommend to the board this evening, the Westport Conservation Commission should issue a negative box 3 determination for the proposed trail establishment within the St. Vincent de Paul Conservation Restriction Area.
Any questions from the audience? From the table? Not a motion.
Move to issue a negative box 3 determination.
Second. Second from Jason. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. CMSO. Just fill in Jason. I don't know if you caught that. You're all set with that one, and you're all set then, I think. Yeah, you're all set for the night.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I do have a certificate of compliance up for...
Yeah, you can stay if you want. We can do that next, but
Okay.
it's not needed for you to stay. If you'd like to stay, my friend, we can.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, want to jump to the agenda, seeing that the next two hearing dates need to have a little extension of time. The engineer representing has neglected to bring the green cards for Johannes Nettendal's hearing for 1136 Drift Road. So Sean Leach asked that we kind of talk slowly.
Do we have the COCs?
What's that?
Do we have the folder with certificates?
Can you grab it? Should be in here.
Oh, they have? Oh. All right.
Yeah, I usually start doing
I thought they were different color folders. Okay, that's okay. All right, so we have Westport Land Conservation Trust, SE 82358, 1520 Main Road, Certificate of Compliance.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. This is Westport Land Conservation Trust, the Dunham's Brook Conservation Area off of Main Road. This is certificate of compliance for file number SE 802358. The site visit was on October 4th. I apologize, not 9/4. And detailed description of the work. The Westport Land Conservation Trust has completed the daylighting of the stream crossing at the Main Road parcel. Dunham's Brook at this location had 2 culverts that were removed and crossed with 2 wooden boardwalks. If you look in the file, Mr. Chairman, I have pictures in there. You can see right there. Those are the new completed. The stream is flowing, and the area of the stream bed was stable and restored as we had asked with the bank run stone that they had placed. Now that the flow is restored, you can see the natural process of scouring and stuff taking its own effect and moving stuff around. So all disturbed areas that you can see in the photos are growing and have 75% plus growth. This was a grant application that the Land Trust got through the federal government. So this was a very beneficial project, and it will restore that natural flow of that Dunham's Brook stream area. So recommendations, Westport Conservation Commission should issue a certificate of compliance for file number SE 802358 as all work is completed and area is stable as shown in the photos. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Looking for a motion?
I'm gonna have to recuse myself because I helped build these things.
Will they support me?
Absolutely, that was this test.
All right.
The Jonkis test.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm not as heavy as I look, Phil.
I make a motion.
All right. Good motion, Jake?
Second.
Who was that?
Okay.
Kevin? Okay, Kevin seconded it. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. That's unanimous now. Show that back in. All right. Joseph Frederickson, SE 802143, 73 Shirley Street, Certificate of Compliance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Joseph Friedrichsen, this is 73 Shirley Street. Certificate of compliance is being requested. The engineer has provided this letter on file. Report date is 10/4/2018. File number is SE 802309. Detailed description of the work. The owner has applied for a certificate of compliance for the single-family house that was built at 73 Shirley Street. As before, Mr. Chairman, there's a photo in the beginning there. The work was completed and the lawn area is seeded, as you can see in the photo. All work has been completed according to the plan of record. This was a buffer zone project. Specifically, recommendations, Westport Conservation Commission should issue a certificate of compliance as all work has been completed according to the plan of record. And that is for file number SE 802309.
Okay, looking for a motion? Any questions?
Motion to issue certificate of compliance.
Second.
Second from Phil. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. That's it. Let's go through that. Give me next. Yeah, don't worry about it. All right, William Latch, SE 802309, 149 Petty Lane, Certificate of Compliance.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. Same with this one. The photos are in the front of the file. This is William Latch, 149 Petty Lane. This is certificate of compliance. My engineer record is SciTech. Report date is October 2nd, 2018. File number for this project is SE 802309. And the date of the site visit was on October 2nd, 2018. The owner has requested a certificate of compliance to be issued as all work on the single-family home has been completed. Reviewing the site and referring to the plan of record, the single-family house work is in compliance with the order of conditions. All areas are seeded and greater than 75% growth. This is a raised structure that was built off of Petty Heights. It was in a velocity zone, as you can see in the photo. It's at the height required given in that velocity elevation. Recommendations, Westport Conservation should issue a certificate of compliance for file number SC 802309 as all work has been completed according to the plan of record. And that is William Latch, 49 Teddy Lane.
Thanks, sir. Do we have any comments, questions? If not, looking for a motion.
Move to issue the certificate.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
All right. It's unanimous, huh?
Mr. Chairman, the last one, Westport Power, American Legion Highway, was requested to have an extension for the certificate of compliance. I did not do a report for it because Saturday of this weekend, they got back into the site to correct the areas that I found were negligent. And that had to do with some rills and erosion areas caused by runoff shedding off the solar area. Actually, a friend of mine was on the property Saturday working for the contractor Reckitt, and he informed me that the place was seeded and mesh erosion blankets put down with staples. And so we should be seeing, I hope within the next 2 weeks, an opportunity to hear this again, Mr. Chairman. So I request Westport Power be extended to the October 25th, 2018 meeting.
23rd, right?
What's that?
23rd.
Is it the 23rd? I thought it was the 25th. 23rd.
All right. All right, so we need a motion to extend the certificate of compliance for SE 802217 to 1023.
Motion to extend.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? All right. So that takes care of that. I guess. What's this folder? Yeah, sign there. Is that my paper?
That is a conservation restriction, Mr. Chairman, to be signed for the final, I believe that's the St. Vincent's.
St. Vincent de Paul, yes.
Yes. We did recently sign one for the Wood family. This is the one for the 23 acres of land surrounding the homes and the gymnasium for the front portion of the property. So this is, Phil had brought up concerns for the entertainment use, so they've changed the language of this CR to allow that outdoor entertainment ideas, or have made the wording so it does not discourage that type of use. So I think the wording now meets what the commission had concern for, I believe, maybe 4 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago when we discussed it.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on it? Do you want to, anybody want to see it? It's the same one we voted, we were going to vote on last time, except
Yeah, it's the same thing, except that language was changing that Phil had brought up in the middle of the discussion, that he felt that, he thought that should be allowed, or the language should be modified in order to allow that type of activity.
Yeah, I just raised it as a question, and
Yep.
Representative thought it was a good idea
Yep.
just to include it in there.
Correct.
So I'm happy to see that.
All right, if no other comments, then we'll look for a motion to approve so we can sign this. This is the, again, it's the conservation restriction from the Westport Land Conservation Trust to the Town of Westport Conservation Commission for Adamsville Road, which is the St. Vincent de Paul property, the Phase 2.
Correct. And that would be the area that was just removed of buildings and such. They're going to have 2 building areas surrounding the existing Victorian home and a building area around the gymnasium. And that is just a footprint to allow activities within that area that would not negate other buildings and such being restricted on. The rest of the property has that restriction written for passive recreation, for outdoor enthusiastic uses relative to concerts, games, events, farmers markets, etc. So, and a lot of the property remain natural with wildflowers, etc. being planted throughout the area to encourage natural vegetation.
All right, so do you have a motion to approve? And a second?
Move to approve it.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous, Al. All right. What's this Abigail test?
That needs to be re-signed. They somehow lost the original.
So we already signed it once, we just need to re-sign it?
That's just a piece of.
Yeah.
People forget that the COC has to be recorded, Mr. Chairman, and they tend to either file it away or it gets misplaced, and they only accept original documents, as you know, for recording purposes. So this is basic general housekeeping to allow her to alleviate that lien on her title of her property.
What do you do about the notary?
You don't have to. Oh, I do the notary.
She does the notary.
Okay.
The owner's document report.
Okay. That's the conservation. Well, it's good because you're supposed to.
This is a previously issued certificate of compliance, Burton, that needs original to be recorded. She misplaced the prior original and needs that for recording purposes.
Oh, so it's sort of recreating an original.
Right. This is basically, the home has been completed for 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah, okay.
All right, there's a letter in here. Chris, you want to discuss this?
Yeah, that's one of my reports, Mr. Chairman. The letter that you have before you, Mr. Chairman, is a letter in response to a superseding order of conditions and adjudicatory proceedings that were actually lost by Buzzards Bay Coalition across the street here on Main Road. This is the Brian Corey's well installation on this property that James Wood owns. I had notified the state prior to that Mr. Corey had went in there without silt fence and other measures not in place. And they were corrected. They added their fence and such. But now it comes to my attention that there's a third well in the property, and Mr. Corey was only permitted to drill 2 wells. So he has taken it upon himself to not only drill the well, but to alter another section of the BVW. You can see in the photo the siltation here. These are the 3 wells. And again, I think the state, under the superseding order, should come visit the site. They should determine if the extent of alteration is within their approvals. And also, from my review, he's in violation of the special conditions. He's not supposed to have any bare soils. He's supposed to immediately mulch the area. He has a replication area that requires 2-year growing season, which he hasn't even initiated. So now he's missed a good fall planting, which would be beneficial this time of year to get that grubbed in and possibly planted in the spring. So he's behind here. Now the neighbors have been notified that he's doing a pump well test on their wells under the public water supply criteria through DEP. So before he gets too far ahead of the project, I wanted to state, and I'm requesting they come to the site. This letter is addressed to James Mahala, Section Chief of the Wetlands and Waterways Division, asking him to come and thoroughly inspect the site to determine if there are any other violations or needs that they may have. Again, the neighbors were called concerned. I was under the assumption that both wells had not met the capacity. Now he apparently has put this third one in during that time. It may have the amount of gallons per minute he needs. So I was just hoping that we could get clarification and also some guidance from the DEP, seeing that this project is under their control. That sometimes it's difficult when they supersede, they're not available to be on sites all the time, and I understand that, but I think in this case that they should do a site visit, and I will be sending the photos attached as well so he can have a visual of what I'm referring to. I've also CC'd the Buzzards Bay Coalition, the Board of Health, I'll probably send a copy to Westport Land Conservation Trust, and who else I have there?
Brian, the building department,
Yeah,
Board
Brian
of Health,
Corey himself, right?
and Corin Peterson.
Yes, Corinne Peterson is representative of the Buzzards Bay Coalition. So that letter is just to address these issues and have the state attempt it on site to determine if there is other adverse issues on the site.
I'll just read it quick. The Westboro Conservation Commission is notifying you that the above-mentioned filing is in violation of superseding order conditions issued. Specifically, the applicant, Brian Corey, is in violation of special conditions 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. The site is bare soil, sediments have entered the BBW, no replication area has been constructed to provide replacement for altered areas. The access that was permitted appears not to be in the approved location, and a larger area of alteration has occurred during the well installation process. The Westport Conservation Commission has also observed a third well that was installed within the BBW. However, the approved plan only references 2 wells. Was the Mass DEP consulted on this change of the project? The Westport Conservation Commission is requesting that the Mass DEP conduct an on-site and have the applicant bring the site into compliance with the superseding order conditions. If you have any questions, contact the office. So that's what the letter says, so everybody knows what you're approving beforehand. So if any questions on it, if not, discussion or motion?
No, I move that we issue the letter.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Burton.
Burton, okay. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Any abstentions? No.
What's that? Thank you, that's right.
Okay, takes care of that. Next. Go ahead, Chris.
I didn't write a report, but I did
You can just verbally tell us what you want.
Nokichoke Village, I conducted an on-site on Thursday with the representatives, design superintendent, as well as the engineer of record, Alan Majors. We went over the work in the buffer zone, which in our jurisdiction is the septic system installation, or approximately a very small edge of that area was within the buffer zone. I observed the site, determined that it is of substantial compliance, and they will be forwarding a full certificate of compliance for that application. I did ask that they add some hydroseed to encourage a little more growth and to seed the area extending toward the well location in the back of the property. In the construction of this project, most members may remember there was a significant spring rain events that this site was flooding the neighbors, flooding the street, inundating the drainage basin or the drainage swale on 177. They in turn came forward to the town after many deliberations to install new culverts under the existing road crossing and under a neighbor's driveway further to the east. Both these culverts were initiated with an enforcement action that was taken by the commission. We felt that the unsightly amounts of sediment that were entering the Westport River was numerous and was in violation, and we therefore took action even though the work was not within our jurisdiction based on that after-the-fact occurrence. They have since installed these culverts. They have since rip-wrapped the whole remaining swale areas on the inlets and the outlets. They also have hydroseeded and entirely restored the drainage swale to a much better condition. They removed a lot of the debris that was within the swale, which was causing some of the water to back up. So I would ask, based on that, and based on my observations, that the commission lift the enforcement order that was issued for that negligent sedimentation of the Westport River and the subsequent solution by installing these new culvert crossings.
All right. Any questions? If not, looking for a motion to lift the enforcement order for Nokichoke Village for their past drainage issues.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Chris, you want to go over this? What we're killing time?
Yep, I got that on my next one. We are here also with a recent marine fisheries testing at Dunham's Brook again. In our testing and what we've allowed the state to do, it seems we really haven't come to a total solution of the source. But on this past week, I'm not sure the date, Mr. Chairman, I believe it was
10th, I believe.
It was on October 3rd. They received a count of 12,000. And this was on a low tide. Chris got as close to the freshwater lens with his boat as he could. So this was a sample of pure Dunham's Brook. This was not a tidally influenced sample. So something's going on there. So I'm just bringing it to your attention again that this is something that we really need to look towards some sort of limiting these numbers or trying to determine what the overall cause is. I know we discussed the farm on Cornell Road. I don't know how significant that stream flowed after our recent rain events, but from what I've seen in most streams, they're very little flow, despite all the rain we got. So this seems to be coming from Dunham's itself, which I know we found strange counts as she got to Main Road and went further up into the woods where there was absolutely nothing. She was getting counts. So I wanted to forward this to Jen Shepard at DEP, and I know she's been getting these. Every time I get them, I send them to her. And maybe we'll enter into a discussion again with what she has concluded. I know Phil was involved with the Board of Health, and I don't know if she ever got back to us, Phil, on the human factor or the animal factor that she was going to try to determine. So that's something that I know has slipped your mind. You have a lot of things that have up and on the Board of Health's plate, not only a new director, but also the animal registry concerns you have, as well as other things I know you deal with on a monthly, weekly basis. So I will forward another email to her asking what she thinks our next plan of action should be. And we may need to get an ad hoc committee with a few representatives of the Ag Commission or such, just to try to, see what we can come up with. Because I know a lot of this seems to be natural, and then just to have a splurge like that seems to be excessive for just road runoff. But
yeah, so this was, the timing of this is funny because it was literally on my list to call her tomorrow, and the reason was that she had told me a while ago that she had sent to the DEP state lab for the testing to determine whether or not the contaminants were human or animal related.
Correct.
And she told me at the time that it was going to take several months to get that testing because of the backlog. And so I was thinking, well, a couple of months have passed, and I was going to reach out to her.
Perfect.
And and so this is good motivation to do that. And
that wasn't my intention.
No, but it's good. No, but it's good.
Because I will forward something to her as well.
Yeah.
So we're all representing.
Yeah. So I was just
going to conservation.
So, but maybe this will just, not that the fire hasn't been lit, but maybe it'll just turn the heat up a little bit on them getting to it.
Other to that, I am aware through some people within the community that I believe the Santos Farm is attempting to file an APR application with the state for the preservation of that farm area on Cornell and Main Road. So not that that would change anything, but maybe within that management plan we can work towards maybe developing something that would enhance a vegetated edge. Just for people saying that he is a contributor, I think that would be an easy approach for him to alleviate some of the finger pointing. He could show some good faith.
Right.
I'm not saying that that is a solution, and I'm not saying he is the sole source, because we're getting different samples at different areas, finding high counts that are unexplained. So I think all this is part of us knowing that road runoff and such can be a potential real concern for shellfish in the long run. And the West Branch is a significant shellfish area, and this needs to be somewhat addressed, seeing how these counts seem to go from 600 to 12,000 in a rather short amount of time. So
so we'll do a coordinated strategy with Jen and see if that sheds some light on it. And I think Jen's recommendation was to get the National Conservation Resource Service, the NCRS, who works a lot with farmers.
Yes, they do, right.
And, again, so that it's looked at in a supportive way, in a technical assistance kind of way.
Yes, and they do a lot of farm management plans.
Right.
And have funding sources that can allow some alternative loan achievements for the farmer.
Right. Certainly they can look at situations and identify potential sources that we might think of or, be aware of. So,
All right. I think Sean's window's passed.
The other one I got, Mr. Chairman, is the DEP recently denied the order conditions for the Clean Energy Collaborative Solar Project on Paul Gay's property on Horse Neck Road. They denied it without prejudice because of the fact that the applicant would not provide any more information, nor would they allow the state back on the property to do any more site visits. The state has been asking for months for some general information, and I think the desire to use the site is no longer, so I believe CEC just walked away.
So that was the one that we denied and they appealed?
We approved and they appealed, correct.
No, we denied it.
No, we approved it. We approved it,
Did we?
yes.
Oh, okay.
And then the neighbors under Michael Kelly appealed it.
We were locked. We had a lock.
Did we have a lock?
Yeah, we were locked.
All right, I thought we did approve it.
We were locked.
So it was lack of vote that, all right, and that was a tie vote.
Yeah.
It was a tie vote, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So again, with that action that Michael Kelly took and the lack that there was no information provided on the end of their part, the state felt that they couldn't come to a final decision. So that one was then kicked out the door. The last thing I want to bring to the attention of, this is recent, the Westport Watershed Alliance has discovered some contamination below the foundation of the building that they're trying to rehab at the head of Westport. I just like to send a letter to the watershed letting them know that, you know, the commission governs protection of groundwater, and we should be provided some information on what is the extent of this contamination, what is expected for what they need to remediate that, and if this may require additional permits, seeing that, you know, that is protection under the Act, or maybe they can amend their application that they have now, their order conditions, to include this remediation. So I know it's in the stages of whose is it, most likely because it's, you know, the town had a release there and had cleaned up significant amount of soils, but they were never able to get under a building, obviously, with a foundation and a floor. So, and I just was curious on what levels they were finding. So that is just a general letter, just to know that we are concerned, as is the town, and how this gets handled.
So Chris, could I just suggest that because the town owns that property, it's the town landing,
That's right.
and they're the owners of that property, and so it would be my suggestion that the letter go to the town, to the landing commission, CC a copy, you know, to the watershed, because it's the town is legally responsible to address that issue.
I was under the assumption the way the lease was written had made it otherwise, but I'm not an attorney on that matter, so I thought.
Well, you know,
what was within the lease was there.
Yeah, so I don't know who, you know.
Yeah, but I'd be more than happy to address it to the town, because the town should be forthcoming with us as well. I mean,
Right,
This is a site that had prior order conditions to clean the site up, and like I said, I'm not discouraging all efforts to remove this source of contamination, and would not, you know, impede that ability to remove it, but I would like to be aware of what is going on.
I mean, I think they're working
Parties
on,
involved.
right, I think they're working on who's doing the work, but I think the issues are, we don't want to get in the middle of the issues of who's responsible.
That's fine. I can handle that. That's perfect. Thank you for that suggestion.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I think we've expended all the reports I have, and I think Mr. Leach has made it back. And
Sean, I thought we were done. He had one more thing to discuss, I'll tell you. Must have driven really fast.
If you're ever busy, you want this on a Wednesday,
It's a company
Thursday,
car.
you just let us know.
we tend to abuse company cars.
Bruce Poor, notice of intent 1702 H Drift Road, construct single-family dwelling and bordering land subject to flooding in riverfront area.
Thank you for no control. I appreciate that. That's slipped my mind. And I've been promising for the past 3 meetings. Thank you. Excuse me?
Right, he's gonna.
He's not gonna get settled. He had these, he didn't have the other one. Thank you, kid.
Good evening, sorry about the delay. Sean Leach for the Poor Family Realty Trust. This is a property at 1702 H Griffin Road, at the end of Draper Lane. I know one person knows exactly where it is. But it's way down more toward the Fontaine Bridge, the Hicks Bridge. This is a parcel that had a repair. Several years ago, there was a repair approved, and the Conservation Commission approved the location of the repair, which is about 60 feet from the river. There was an expansion of the house proposed, and there's a wetlands line that was approved at that time. That was for the previous owner. The current owner, Mr. Poor, who's here tonight, has decided he wants to build a new house, but there are several resource areas we're talking about here. We've got the 100 and 200 foot riverfront area. We've got two wetlands buffers for the two wetlands on either side of this. There is a floodplain in pink that you see here, and on top of that there are two 1.5 coastal banks, which I provided the profiles to show how we determined where the coastal bank, exactly where the coastal bank was, and one coastal bank runs right along the water. As mitigation for the expansion of the house that Mr. Poor is proposing, he has voluntarily decided to do a denitrification system, moving it far away from the system, far away from the river as humanly possible. In doing so, he has to take out the existing garage, which is there. He also limits his access a little bit, but his denitrification system, he is proposing to infiltrate all the roof drains. The proposed disturbance in the riverfront area outside, completely outside the 100 foot riverfront area is about 3,935 square feet of house. Part of the mitigation, again, is infiltrating roof drains, moving the septic system as far away from the river, providing denitrification. There also was an overflow cesspool we found when we were doing around the property that I think nobody was aware of. It was part of the original system. There was an overflow here, which I think was flowing pretty much directly into the spring. So this particular plan, the septic system had been approved by the Board of Health. There's just one slight change, moving the well location, which originally was proposed over here at the northerly boundary, moving it more subtly to be 100 feet away from the reserve area and the septic system. And again, everything would be outside the 100 foot. What originally was proposed was the septic system 60 feet from the river, all within, with grading and everything, within 100 feet of the river. We're eliminating all that, leaving it the way it is right now, which is currently a lawn, and proposing mitigation by moving all the septic systems and infiltrating the roof drain. Unfortunately, the state has not issued a number for this for some strain trees. We sent it on September 21st. I have no idea why they have not issued a number yet. But what we're proposing, I think, falls within the regulations and within all the guidelines of the law.
Mr. Chairman and members, Bruce Poor, 1702 H Drift Road. This is notice of intent application. Engineer record is SciTech with Sean Leach representing. Report date, it should be 10/9/18, because I wrote it today. Having trouble with this change in the month. Site visit was also on October 3rd, 2018. Description of the property, description of work, the applicant has purchased a property located at 1702 H Drift Road. It has an existing single-family dwelling with an unattached garage. The new owner has proposed demolishing the existing 1,700 square foot home and replacing with a 3,935 square foot new dwelling. The lot is total area 41,500 square feet with 35,300 square feet within the riverfront area. The total allowance for that the Commission may approve is 5,000 square feet or 10%, whichever is greater. The proposed dwelling exceeds the 10% allowance. The owner has also decided as mitigation to relocate the current approved septic system location out of the Commission's jurisdiction and place it where the current garage is located. The garage will be removed to allow the denitrification system to be placed with retaining walls surrounding. The work for the dwelling is also within the flood zone, buffer zone, and on a portion of the existing coastal bank. The house design will require the south portion to be raised up on sonotubes above the velocity zone elevation of 15. This section of home will also be constructed on the coastal bank. The alternative analysis has been provided. The plan is missing the coastal bank location as of my review. Sean has provided that onto this plan revised before you. It should be provided outlining the DEP policy on coastal banks, which the schematic that Sean has provided meets that. Roof room traders are proposed but should be shown on the plan. I know Sean mentioned that there was a couple different areas that he was proposing this based on the consistent flow off the site. So I'd like to see that. Lastly, no file number has been issued at this time. I suggest the applicant allow a 2-week continuance. So recommendations for the board, the Westport Conservation Commission should request a 2-week continuance for further review of the plans and to allow the file number issuance.
All right, so what concerns do you have with the new plans? Well, just so we can discuss, get as much out of the way tonight as possible.
I have concerns for the size of the dwelling exceeding the 10% limitations.
Okay.
The owner has provided mitigation. I agree with the septic relocation, but he also increased the bedroom size, which is why they tried to get a septic here in the first place, was to get more of a dwelling bedroom capacity. So he has done that now. So now this is a 3-bedroom, or was it 2-bedroom?
4-bedroom.
Yeah, that's what it's now, but it currently is.
Oh, currently, I believe the repair is 2-bedroom.
Yeah, there was an argument on this whole thing, trying to get that extra bedroom, and it wasn't allowed. So that is also, you know, it's a denitrogen, but there is a change there. And the use of the coastal bank is lawn area now. I can't argue with that, and the lawn is all established.
The coastal bank up here, I think this is one you're concerned about, Chris. According to
Yes.
the 92-1 guidelines, it actually ends here, so we're not disturbing any of the coastal
The
bank.
coastal bank just ends, it doesn't teeter around that slope.
No, because it's really flat through here. There's a ledge outcrop. If you've been out
Yes,
there, there's a ledge outcrop and everything. That's
See
the cost
that?
of this. It's actually a little less than what should be, but we're not going to argue with 2 or 3% there.
Lastly, Mr. Chairman, again, the home size and the fact that the infiltrator should be shown in their location on the plan. So I think that, given that, I don't know how the commission feels, you know, it seems the homes get bigger and bigger, but it's the person's right to design and build a home as they desire. It's our interpretation to meet the regulations as feasible as possible. So given the siting of the lot, I think he's done measures to enhance the effect to the resource area. But I still would like to see how is the sonotube design on that south portion. You should show that in your plan, that they're sonotubes by demarcating a circle structure. Are they 18-inch? Are they 12-inch?
I don't know if we have that detail yet.
That may require structural if you get so many, you know, obviously, but.
Yeah, I just want to point out that one of the reasons the footprint is as large as it is, and we can't move it any further this way due to the septic system, is we are, to put the septic system here, we're losing the garage. And this had proposed, in addition to the garage, moving the garage to this portion here and allowing the access, kind of cutting it off with the septic system, which kind of really increases the footprint of the total structure. Even though this is out of the jurisdiction of the commission right now, we kind of have to put it in the jurisdiction to be part of the house. So, although we're 400 feet above the 10%, we're well below the 5,000, which is allowed, and we have provided all kinds of mitigation, which this plan originally had proposed none. So I just want to point that out to the commission. We're just trying to do the right thing and also get, you know, something that's desirable in this location.
So your mitigation, you put roof infiltrators, and what else did you do? And you have to move the septic.
Right.
The septic in this cesspool, basically, yeah, because the septic was proposed for here, which was within the 100 foot, with all kinds of grading to make it work, and it wasn't denitrification. He voluntarily decided he re-perked it, put a denitrification in voluntarily, moved as far away as possible by offsets 10 foot and 10 foot, which basically means you have to lose the garage as part of this plan, and so he's just adding the garage to the side of the house, and then the house, of course, is in here, but it's, you know, there isn't much to do. I realize what Mr. Bones were concerned about the footprint, but we're trying to make the best we can here, and we're doing a lot of mitigation to do that, so.
Any questions from the table?
So is it going to a 5-bedroom house?
No.
Just a 4?
4, yeah.
Okay.
That's what was approved.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions from the table?
So I guess the question is, Chris, your level of comfort if it sounds like you want to have additional review. I mean, part of what you're saying is you want additional review on a plan with some additional detail.
Yeah. Show the location infiltrations. He mentions it, but doesn't show.
Right. And I guess, okay.
And the sonotubes.
And the design of the foundation
Right,
relative
okay.
to that corner where I wasn't aware. I thought it was all foundation was showing when I asked about his square footage alterations, he said that was all gonna be raised, so I just wanted to see how that.
So I guess the question would be whether your level of comfort, setting aside the 5,000 of an approval which would be contingent upon filing a plan that showed that additional detail that you felt you needed, rather than a continuance.
We could do that if you choose, members, if you're okay with what you see before you. That is okay with me.
All right, so we have those two things right now, the infiltrators and the sonotubes in the plan, but anybody else have any other questions or comments before I head to the audience?
Well, my other comment is just that I appreciate the effort to put in a denitrification system here, because there's enough so for 4 bedrooms you need 40,000 square feet, right?
Right.
And so he's slightly under that.
No, he has
41.5.
Yes, 41.5, so he didn't really have to do that.
He didn't know. He's doing
So-
that. He wants to be a steward of the river.
Right,
just like
right,
everyone else,
so, you know, to me that is significant, you know, just in terms of,
Well, I can't argue, especially with what you see there, you know,
Right,
members,
right, so-
in respect to the location of that.
We have no problem providing a plan showing the detail for this corner here that Chris is concerned about, and showing the infiltrators on either side. We've already sized them and everything, just waiting for final architecturals. But
All right.
so, given that it's under the 5,000 feet, and I don't know that, I haven't been involved in discussions where we've talked about the difference between the 10% or the 5,000, you know, that we seem to have the authority to do it, so I guess I would move to approve the plan contingent upon the additional plan details regarding the infiltrators and the sonotubes.
All right, we're going to ask for any questions from the
Yeah,
audience.
that's just, well, I mean, we can continue discussing it, but that's just to put it out there.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay, if you can come up one at a time to the podium and just state your name, and you can ask any questions you'd like.
My name is Valerie Hawes, and my sister Barbara Caldwell and I own the property that abuts Mr. Poor's at 1780 Drift Road, and we're both looking forward to having Mr. Poor as a neighbor for a long time. And I just have a few concerns about the plan as an abutter. One of the concerns is that the nitrogen system needs to go on underneath the existing garage, and the garage is partially on our property, and we have an easement that was affected when Mr. Seaman sold the property to Mr. Poor. They were given, with my sister and my consent, we gave a conditional easement that reverts to us if the garage comes down. So obviously there's a little bit of a detail. I've had a call into my attorney for a month now since Bruce and I spoke about this, and I haven't had a chance to get his legal advice yet. He's working on it now. But my other concern, Mr. Poor suggested that he buy a strip of property, including the garage portion that has the easement, so that he would have the setbacks for his system. And we haven't concluded that yet. Another concern that I have is that just doesn't look like there's any great place for the well, because when it was upriver, it was threatening the neighbor's fish pond, and downriver, that spring, where's the property line? So that spring is on our property.
Right.
That spring feeds our pond. Now, I think my grandfather dug the pond many years ago, probably late 40s, early 50s. And I understand that you folks would not be happy if I wanted to fill it in. Now I wouldn't be happy either. I love the pond, but however, it hasn't been much of a pond for the last 15 years. It's been a toilet bowl because Although a lot of people didn't know that septic system was leaking, we knew darn well, but we couldn't really do much about it with an extended family living there and an elderly woman, and she couldn't cope with it. So we waited patiently and hopefully thinking that eventually that septic system would be moved and our pond would come clear and not be polluted anymore. And as you might see, it's right on the bank of the river. So I would like to be able to have some kind of assurance that the well wasn't going to just drink up the spring that feeds the pond. And we really don't know how that spring flows anymore because the septic has made such a mess of the pond. So those are two concerns that I have. And another concern I have is that we get to listen to a nitrogen system all winter long, beeping, beeping, beep, 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 all winter long at the Lanier development, which is, there's a 75-foot property between us and the Laniers, but days and days go by and that thing goes beep, 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 and there's nobody on the property. So we have a concern about the sound of the blower and the sound of the beeping, and I know the beeping from the Lanier system can be heard right way up on Drift Road at the Flynn's house, and so as abutters we're a little bit concerned about that noise pollution and the blower, but I'm sure if we mention it now that there'll be a way to address it and make the neighbors happy.
There's two things. One thing, the well is going to be downgrading with the spring, so I wouldn't expect to have any impact on the spring or.
That's very that's comforting.
And in fact, this is going to be gone. It's going to clean this out dramatically. As far as the blower is going to be located over here, to the far corner of the system, behind the wall, basically. I'm not going to say you're never going to hear it because it's so quiet. You get boats, 2 miles up the river.
Yeah, sometimes you can.
So, but it's not going to be. The Lanier system has a shared system which has several pumps and several different alarms.
Okay.
Problematic. They have a giant shared system. Although when you tell me it's beeping, it's concerned with the Board of Health because something's going off, something's not right. But this just has the blower. It doesn't have the alarm that never go off. Essentially, it doesn't have a pump chamber that's going to be beeping all the time. So, and like I said, do denitrification, be it some good, some bad. It's not going to sound like you have a motor running all the time. Let's put it that way. It's going to be like a fan, and some nights the wind blows the right direction. You may hear it at your house over here. I'm not saying, but I don't think it's as intrusive as Lanier's.
Okay. Well, I want to accommodate my new neighbor, and I also am speaking for myself and my co-owner's sister. So as far as I can't say right now. We want to do the sane and appropriate thing about the garage, but it hasn't happened yet, and it is a condition of to go forward, as far as I understand. But it is our intention to be cooperative. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know, the plan and how they show it, the engineer designs it and stamps it ends up ultimately responsible for where they put things. We can't get involved in that, but it is more of a civil matter, and hopefully they're not going to put a septic system where on somebody else's property.
Yeah, that easement goes around this portion of the garage, the easement that you have. This is going to be totally within the Poor property. So when the garage is gone, everything else goes with it.
Okay.
So
okay.
This is 14 feet from the property line.
I see. Okay.
So it's not going to, although the garage is going to be gone, it's not going to be there anymore. The system will be 14 feet from the property. It's only 10 foot required, we're doing 14 there.
Okay. So is it to the point where we don't, Bruce, we don't need to do what we were talking about?
I want to do that anyway, but that's a different issue. But the septic, as approved, doesn't have any question.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next? Someone else want to make a comment or question? All right, no other comments or questions. We have a motion from Phil to conditionally approve it pending the DEP file number, no adverse comments. The infiltration well shown on the plan, and the sonotube detail and the foundation detail also shown on the plan.
Correct.
So that's the motion where you can either, anybody have any additions, changes, questions, or a second would be in order. Or a different motion, or a discussion on Phil's motion, something.
What?
Nothing. I'm just.
Well, good.
Well, I guess the other proposal that Chris had was to continue it for 2 weeks, so that's the other option that's out there.
What's the?
We expect to file number any day. I don't know why. It's been 3 weeks. Anybody has an issue.
I know Mark Bartow's on vacation. I don't know if there are other wetlands guys on vacation, Sean.
Anybody have any comments, questions, something? Bueller? You guys want to continue it?
Make a motion for continuance?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right. Phil, do you want to withdraw your motion? Or,
Yeah.
there's no second, but you want to withdraw it anyway? I mean,
Sure.
seems that
The chairman wants me to withdraw, I'll withdraw.
all right. It seems that the feeling is
Right.
lack of comments and we're going to continue for 2 weeks. So we have a second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor to continue for 2 weeks?
Aye.
All right. That's approved, right? That's a unanimous.
Just want to get something straight. Although they exceed the 10%, that's okay because they're under 5,000, whichever's the greater.
Correct.
Yeah.
I just like people to know that it says may allow. Everyone assumes we automatically allow.
May
There's a may in the language there,
That's
that
right.
Mr. Leach is aware of. So I just like the commission to know that there is an option, and I believe the applicant truly has made a incredible difference with the location of the septic. So.
All right. It's the last hearing for the night. Johannes Negtegal. Notice of intent, 1136 Drift Road. I tried. Reconfigure flow layout on existing pier. John?
Okay, this is a very simple one. This will go very quickly, hopefully.
You think so?
This is an approved license dock.
You have the read card?
That's for the.
I got
Yeah,
it.
just gave it to me.
Well, that's for that plan.
That's why you went 90 miles an hour.
This is an approved dock with a certificate of compliance, located on the West Fork River up towards Hicks Bridge. It's just about a half mile south of Hicks Bridge. It's the same one. The only thing they're asking to do here is they have an existing float that's oriented this way. They want to turn it this way to make it easier to get boats in and out of here. Essentially, because there's two adjoining that also have it that way. So they're just turning this 90 degrees. And to do that, they have to relocate the pile. So it's a very simple procedure through the quick licensing procedure of the state, but because it is in the resource area, we're just asking for approval.
Johannes Nattengal, 1136 Drift Road. This is a notice of intent application. Engineer SciTech, Sean Leach representing. The report date is October 1st, 2018. There is no file number at this time. Site visit was also on October 1st, 2018. The owner has filed to reconfigure the float on his licensed dock. The float is going to move to the east-west configuration to allow better access to the dock. The current north to south orientation is making it difficult to dock the boat with the new docks on either side. Mr. Nattengal now has neighbors that have docks that cause some of his approach to his dock to be more difficult with this layout. So he is requesting to be located to allow the new float location, and that includes moving the float piles. Float stop should be installed to keep the float 30 inches off the bottom. There still exists an outstanding order conditions for this dock construction, SE 80202, dated to 2012 from the prior owner, not Mr. Nattengal himself. So it's recommended that the new owner file for a COC on both orders once the work is completed.
Okay, because he's got a COC on the existing dock from the state, actually.
Yeah, but he never got anything to our office, so I'm just trying to do a little housekeeping in that process. So recommendations, West Fork Conservation Commission should approve the proposed float reconfiguration with standard dock conditions, the installation of float stops. Applicant must file for a COC on both orders that are outstanding. The new one to be issued and file number SE 80202 that was issued to a prior owner. Now, Sean, you know that your original dock, do they have float stops on this now?
Yep. Yes.
Yes, okay. Because the original showed it, and I didn't see it in your explanation here, but...
Oh, no, well, there is
So as long as they're there, he doesn't have to add them, it's just, everything moves.
well, the requirement under the simplified license to meet all the requirements.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, that would be approval of the dock reconfiguration with standard dock conditions as we have, and the appliance of certificate of compliance for both these orders and conditions once the work is completed.
And that's conditional on the file number with no
File
address.
Chris, I'm sorry, yes, contingent on DEP's file number.
Okay, so anybody have any questions? No questions, a motion?
Motion to approve with both orders of conditions and DEP final.
Thank you, Kevin. That's second from Phil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That's unanimous. So Sean, if the number comes in and you get those other things fixed, you'll be all set, bud.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about
It's gonna kind of cost you, Sean.
It's all about you. I said records are okay.
Glad somebody had done it tonight. Okay, so if we have nothing else, we'll look for a motion. Do you have anything else? Anybody have anything else you want to discuss?
You got bills, minutes?
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Do we have any bills? I don't think. No bills or minutes. You no bills or minutes in here? No. All right. What can I do for you?
Good evening, Laura Hadley. I'm back again. Just coming to discuss and wonder if we can hear the notice of intent, which I filed on the 23rd and then 24th of September. As I'm not sure if everyone saw emails of today, who's copied, who's not. The fees that were required to be paid pursuant to 310 CMR 10.05 subsection 5 were paid on the 24th. And therefore, if we continue until the 23rd, will be after the 21-day window. I respectfully request that we discuss any concerns that you have at this point with the notice of intent.
I
I'm
believe
happy
Chris,
to answer any questions.
I believe Chris explained that you need your butter notification cards, which you don't have.
So,
file for.
So under section 310 CMR 10.04, subsection 4, a butter notification is only required if the project site is within 100 feet of the abutter's property. On the diagram, which is drawn to scale that I included with the notice of intent, it is more than 100 feet from all abutter's property, so there is no notice of intent abutter notification requirement. So I'm not sure where this extra abutter notification requirement's coming in, although when I spoke with folks at Mass DEP, they showed me the statute and informed me that a butter notification was not required.
Do you have a letter from them stating that, or any kind of information?
I have a printout of the statute, which I included with the notice of intent and the date. The printout of the statute they gave to me, and so that was included with the notice of intent.
So I talked to Dave Johnston today, which I know you talked to, about this issue, and it's not as clear cut as you're representing, because the regulation that you're referring to talks about 100 feet from the project locus.
Yes.
Okay. The project locus is defined not as the distance from where the activity is occurring, but the distance from the property line on which the activity is occurring. Your project doesn't have an activity, and so there's a concern that, I mean, doesn't have a property boundary. You're just in the middle of the pond. So the concern is that even though this is a test, you could come in and say, you know, I'm going to build a 5-acre floating remediation pond in the middle of Duval Pond, and I don't have to give notice to anybody as long as it's 100 feet from the shoreline. I'm not prepared to accept that interpretation. But on the same, I understand that you're trying to, you're trying to do the right thing. Your intention is fine. I'm not expecting that everybody necessarily on the pond needs to have notice, but I don't support the notion that whatever you're doing in a pond, if it's 100 feet from the shoreline, no abutter has to get noticed. I don't think that and Dave agrees with me.
So the 5-acre plan that you're referring to, I'm not totally
I
clear
guess
where
what I'm
that's
saying
coming
is
from.
you're saying it's 100
This is only
feet.
50
Well,
50
I know,
feet
but what's
square total.
But what's the principle? But the principle that you're asserting is because it's 100 feet from the shoreline, you don't have to give anybody notice.
Right.
It's not based on the size of it. And what I'm saying is
Well,
that
it's based on the size of it because it won't connect.
So if you were doing this on the land, you wouldn't be coming here and saying, because I am altering this wetland, for example, whatever it is, and because there's nobody within 100 feet of the work that I am doing, I don't have to give my abutters notice. The answer would be that the 100 feet is measured from the property line of the property on which the work is being done, not from the distance from the work. What you're saying is that in this case, the 100 feet should be measured from the distance of the work. And that's not what
Well, as you just noted,
that's not what the regulation says.
Well, as you notice, it's the test site. And so where the site is located is 130 feet from the property line.
But that's not the metric. That's not the metric. It's 130 feet from your property. What I'm saying is that which is
the closest adjacent property.
But we've always used property lines, so regardless of whether you're putting on the water, it's the property. If your address, the address on there is the application, if that's what we're using, that's 100 feet from your property line. It's not going to be 100 feet from. So what he's saying is if you were out 200 feet offshore with a 5-acre project, you can't say that there's no one to notify. Regardless of whether it's 100 square feet or 5 acres of work you're doing, it's based off your property. It's based off your property lines.
Right. Well, based on the language of the regulations the interpretation of the DEP, they indicated to me that there was no abutter notification.
You need to have abutter notification cards.
Pursuant to what statute? I read the regulations many times. I even included them with my notice of intent.
Then you're interpreting it wrong, because this is the way it's always been done. For 10 years I've been doing this, is the way it's always been done. Projects in the waters make a difference. I mean, we've had people gone out on the salt marsh and put up stands for the birds, and they have to file. They end up filing and notifying the state because it's state-owned. I mean, so you have to notify butters. It doesn't matter. That's the way we do it, and that's the way it's going to be. We're not going to sit for an hour and debate it with you.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the regulatory backing behind your assertion.
Chris has already told you everything you need to do, whether it's the fees and everything to get the project moving forward. And on every turn, you want to debate everything he tells you. If you don't want Chris to handle the project, as you stated, we can get up another professional to do it.
That's fine. I'm fine with Chris handling it. I probably would prefer that an impartial person look over it, because I can't understand what the holdup is. We all want clean water, right?
The holdup is he told you what you need to do.
Don't we want clean water?
Yes, but didn't you, that's not the point.
Right? Isn't that the goal?
Yeah, okay, but the point is he told you what you need to do to get the file to move forward.
But that was incorrect under the regulations.
Okay, well, but
I'm trying to follow the process by the letter of the law, and what you're saying is that going outside what the letter of the law is just what you've always done. And
now you're putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to have this debate with you. Chris told you what you need to do. If you don't want to do it, then your application will never move forward.
I'm confused as to what regulation this abutter notification requirement is coming from. Could you please just point me to the statute so I can look at that and then circle back to
the same statute that you refer to, it's and what we're telling you is it's 100 feet off the property line, not from the project site, or not from where you're doing the work site.
Even so, it's still 100 feet out. It's more than 100 feet out.
100 feet from the property line.
And it's only 50 feet squared. Okay. Right, so the mean low water line.
It's 100 feet from the property line.
Do you understand it feels like you don't understand the point that was being made. So this is let's say you had a 50-acre parcel of land, okay? And you were just doing a project on it that was subject to the Wetlands Act, okay, where would you, and that site of that work was not within 100 feet of any abutter. Would you, under your interpretation, would you have to give abutters notice if the work was not being done within 100 feet of an abutter?
Well, there are a lot of regulations that would need to be reviewed in order for me to make a determination.
No, but this is just the answer. I mean, you're saying yes, because the work, i.e. the float is 100 feet away, that you wouldn't have to notify anybody.
And I'm saying that because the DEP officials told me that and gave me the handout of the regulations. I just don't understand
what the regulation
issues are.
That's not right. The regulation says is that the abutter notice is based on the limits from the property line. So
but it says the project site in the regulations.
You gave me a letter.
The regulation, I have it included.
You gave me the letter from the DEP that says you don't need a abutter notification. Hold on 1 second, Brett. You referring to your specific filing saying you don't need abutter notification cards and we'll accept it. But the DEP isn't going to give that to you. I can ask a question 100 different ways to the DEP and get different answers every time. I don't know how you asked the question. I don't know who you spoke to. I don't know what they told you. So I'm telling you based on we go off the property lines. I don't care if your project is 500 feet offshore. It doesn't make a difference. It's property lines. You have to notify your abutters, and that's it. And if there's any other open items that Chris has told you about, those need to be done too before we will advertise the hearing. Your hearing can't be discussed tonight because it's not advertised.
Why not?
The fee wasn't paid at the time she submitted the application. It was missing the advertisement fee, as I indicated to her, and she showed up 5 days later after the deadline, and I didn't have a complete application to send to the Chronicle. So that's where we are on the 23rd.
Hearings
on the fee process.
Our schedule for next meeting goes out tomorrow morning. So everything for that next meeting had to be in today, paid in full. If it's not paid in full, then it doesn't get the agenda.
Well, according to 310 CMR 10.05 sub 5, it's the minimum payment of fee schedules as outlined by the NOI paperwork. I paid all of those. When I brought both the fees and the hard copies of the notice of intent, Chris informed me of these other fees, so I promptly came back with those fees and hoping, and I don't see why it's a constant push out.
Because legally we have to advertise the hearing.
Right, which you...
in the paper, which we're not going to pay any fees unless we have a check for it.
Which is fine, but the 21 days starts to run as of the date that I paid the filings.
That's not true.
No, it says a complete filing.
From a complete filing, your filings wasn't complete.
That's not the language of the regulations.
You can go to DEP. You're going to get the same answers you get in commission.
I'm just trying to understand what the heart...
You're always looking for a
I've been
loophole.
doing this for 10 years. Everybody comes in, they follow the same process. Every engineer walks through the door, they follow the same process. They come in, they file the stuff, they pay their fees, and they get the hearings heard. You've been in?
Under a test project?
No, but that's irrelevant. You have fees to be paid.
Process, right?
You have fees to be paid.
I
No, it's not a different process.
More than the fees I paid.
You have fees to be paid, you have to notify your abutters. If you don't want to follow the process, your hearing's never going to move forward. You can go to the DEP and see if you can get a filing with them or complain. But you're not going to move forward unless you do it the right way. And we're telling you how to do it. If you don't believe us, then I don't know what to tell you. But Chris told you the way to do it. He told you the fees to pay. He told you how to do abutter notification cards, which you're debating now for the last 15 minutes.
Based on what the DEP told me and based on what the regulations say explicitly.
I wasn't there. I don't know if they told you.
I included a copy of the regulations.
I have the regulations. Get me a written letter stating your case specifically does not need abutter notification cards, and we will accept that. I don't want to hear say. I don't want to hear what they told you. I want to see it on paper from them, signed by somebody at the DEP, saying your case specifically does not need abutter notification cards. Because I can guarantee you they're not going to give it to you.
Have you read the regulations?
I've read the regulations. Yes, I've done that.
Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I was concerned with the same issue, and based on my many years as a commission member and an agent before I came here, I was, from 100 feet from the property line, you have to notify. But I think water may be different, because I looked carefully at the regs, and it said 100 feet, I think this is for land under water body, 100 feet from the project site. You look at the definition of project site, it is not the property line, that's the locus. The project site is where the work takes place. And it says 100, anyone, you have to notify within 100 feet from the project site. And it seems to me, I remember that for things in a water body, it's different than on a lot on the land. I'd have to maybe go back and look at it again, but I looked at that and I said to myself, gee, I think she's right here. Despite the fact that in all the years in this working with these regs, I always said it was 100 feet from the property line. And I think, is a body of water a lot? There's different rules for it. I think that I'd have to go back and carefully look at the regs again, but that's what I thought about looking at the regs.
Well, I thought it is worth looking at. I thought that there was this special rule that dealt with where there's a body of water that separates the property from two properties.
That's different.
And that was the reg that she was citing at the time.
But shouldn't we be discussing this during her hearing? We keep having these conversations without the hearing on the agenda.
It's not official.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know what we're talking.
The issue is, can we open a hearing without a butter notification?
Right.
So we have to discuss that before the hearing.
I'm just trying to get the hearing on the agenda so we can discuss this.
So,
yes.
But there is something, but
the
the question, so I was somewhere just a bit in the middle because who is the abutter in this case? Is it just the people who, because my feeling was, does that mean that she has to notify everybody whose property goes down to the pond as an abutter? Or is it a smaller subset of people? I mean...
I identified a smaller subset of people.
Okay.
Cooperative.
Okay.
I'm not asking for everyone on the pond to be notified.
Okay.
I could care less if she notifies me, and I'm a direct abutter. I've never seen a filing without someone being notified. End of story.
Right.
Notify somebody, Laura.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I can say. I agree. I can't sit here and argue it. Because it seems you always look for a loophole, Laura. I told you how to file, and you look for a loophole, so...
I found a more appropriate permitting avenue.
And I suggest you go to DEP, and maybe they'll show you how the process works more differently than maybe this commission does. These members are volunteer, Laura, so they do rely on me for some guidance, but...
right, and I respectfully request that you revisit the regulations that I cited and just read them again slowly, because
so now you're saying we can't read? We don't need to read it slowly, Laura.
Slowly
I've read them over and over again.
The project site is where it's located.
We'll request guidance from DP on this one, because you can send me an email tomorrow.
I can absolutely ask them.
We have a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor? Opposed? All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Right, so Phil